tilt my camera down and you guys can see better what I'm doing. And here's my little area here, so you're gonna get to look at that. We're gonna start off with our canvas and some tape. And what I want you to do, and if you need help, that's great, but I want you to start putting tape anywhere you want on the canvas, anywhere you want. I'm going to do some diagonal ones. And I'd say do at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 on yours. And you know what else you can do is really cool is you can cross over. I highly recommend crossing over. So that's 3, 1, 2, 3. And then, oh, there we go. Here comes some tape. Good job, guys. Have it go all the way from end to end. End to end. Good job. And I'm going to do mine kind of like that. Now, you can do whatever you want. You want to make an X? That's great. You want to make a box? You could do that. You can do whatever you want. But I'd say get at least 4 or 5, at least 3, but maybe 4 or 5 on here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to do one more right here. 5. To do that. Hey, good job. Now, when you get it all on here, I want you to take your hands and just kind of pound it. Make sure it's on there really, really, really good, okay? Good job. Make sure the ends are on and everything, because we don't want it to come up yet, okay? Now, I gave you 3 sheets of bubble wrap. 1, 2, 3. The 3rd sheet is to play with because I like playing with bubble wrap and I like popping bubbles. So I thought that'd be kind of fun. One of the best ways to make it make sound is by twisting it really hard. So I gave you a sheet to play with. I can't help it. Then I want you to take a plate and we're going to start off, well, we're going to start off with yellow. And I want you to put a little bit of yellow on your plate, about the size of a quarter. You guys did some nice designs. Good designs. Nice, okay, everybody got their yellow, awesome. And then you have some special paint brushes just for you guys. And I want you to touch your paintbrush into the paint and you're going to paint the bottom of your bubble wrap. See how I'm doing that? First, I'm just gonna paint it. I'm gonna go everywhere I can. So it's like you're painting a picture, but you're painting these crazy bubble wrap dots. And it looks really pretty and it feels really different to paint something like that. And get lots of paint on there, okay? And guess what you're gonna do? Once you get that painted, you're gonna flip it over and smush it down. And look what happens. I made like little tiny bubble wrap print. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so you can kind of press it. Now, the next thing I want you to try to do is I want you to take your little bubble wrap foot, I'm gonna call it a little booty or foot, and I want you to plop it right in the paint itself and get a big blob. And see what that does. That makes it more dense. So when we say dense, it just means that it makes it darker and it has more color. Good job. Nice job, guys. I like how you're starting in the middle and you're going out to the edges. That looks really good. And you can do just a little bit or all over. And what happens when you go over it, you kind of pick paint up from the edges and you kind of ends up moving the paint by yourself with the little pushy thing. Now I want you to do another color. We're going to do this turquoise and we're going to put it right on the same plate. Right there. Okay. And we're going to get our handy dandy brush again and our little booty foot thing. And we're going to paint it again. This time, you don't have to paint the whole thing if you don't want to. You could paint individual little circles, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint very fine motor skill, and I'm going to paint just the little tiny circles if I can. Now, you don't have to do that, but it's kind of fun to try and see if you just can touch only the circles. Can you do that? Give it a try. Or maybe 2 or 3 circles at a time. Or maybe just around the edge you could do. Or a section. However you want to do it. And then, right, you're going to plop them right down. Give it a stamp. With this one, you're going to really be able to see the shapes better, aren't you? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put a little bit more on here and paint it. And go right along. Now I've got some area I haven't filled in yet. I'm going to smush those. And as you can see, I'm getting a lot of really cool bubble wrap texture. So texture is when we get all these different little bumps and like little movement going around of all the little bubbles. Good job. Nice job. Now, if you want, what happens when we mix yellow, even if it's with this bluish kind of turquoise, if we want to mix them up a little bit, what color do you think we're going to get? We get this really bizarre green. It's kind of like a seafoam green, sort of. Or I don't know what you'd call that. Plant green, I don't know. Anyway, you can see I've got yellow, blue, and I put it together, and I've got green. So then we're gonna use a little bit of green on here too. And with this, I feel like I'm gonna just set my brush down, and I'm gonna go ahead and just stomp it right in the green, just like that. And maybe get a little bit of blue and yellow on it too. See how I'm stamping? Good job. Nice. We're just gonna stamp, 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 stamp. Now you can cover your entire piece or just little areas if you want, or go only around the edge. I'm just kind of doing the whole thing because it looks really cool. It looks really, really cool. Nice job. I like that you're putting some muscle into it. It's awesome. If I want, I can do a little more yellow on top of that. Get all your frustrations out. That's so great. Yeah, there you go. Good. Oh, nice. I like the middle where you just kind of squished it around. So then what we're going to do is we're going to slowly take off these tape pieces that we have on here. And see what happens when I take them off. Then they're white underneath. So you're going to probably have to take them off pretty close to the way you put them in. I'll show you what happens when you don't. It really doesn't matter. This one I'll do, and I know it's underneath, and it'll lift the one up underneath it. So then I can kind of get a hold of it that way if I wanted to. So when you get all of this up, we're going to move it aside and we're going to let that dry, okay? So once you get this done, I'm going to move it over to another little part and let it dry. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to set a piece of our bubble wrap down, and we're going to put the bubble side up, okay? Bubble side up. And I want you to put your bubble wrap down and put the bubbles up so you can feel them. They feel really nice, don't they? You want to pop one, you can. They feel really good on your fingers. I love them. Then I'm going to take my little stamper and go back to my paint, and I'm going to get some on there, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp bubble wrap on bubble wrap and see what happens. It looks pretty cool. Good job, you guys. Looks good. Get a little more blue if you want. We decided we'd use these colors because it made us think of spring. And we are ready for spring around here, right? Nice. Might want to roll your sleeves up there too. So what are we going to do with this now that we've got it painted? Anybody have any ideas? Well, that is where our second piece of paper is going to come in handy. We have a new clean piece of paper, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to lay it down and we're going to flip this over right onto our paper. You might need a little help just to get it on there nicely. And we're going to flip it over and then push. Okay? See how I'm doing that? I'm just going to push it down. You're kind of making a transfer a little bit. You're making a print. Good. Good job. So make sure you get it nice and pushed, really nice and hard, okay? And you can kind of spread it. It feels really good. Doesn't that feel good? Nice. Get it nice on there. And then you can peel it up and look what comes up underneath. Is that not the coolest thing? Whoa, that looks awesome. It reminds me of like bees and like a, what do you call that, honeycomb? Now, if we want, we can move that aside and let it dry. And here's the part where scissors come in. Take a new sheet, and if you want someone to help you, you can, but we're gonna just cut some shapes out of this other bubble wrap piece, okay? We're letting a bunch of stuff dry, and I'm gonna cut some shapes out of the new one. I'm just gonna chop them up, and it doesn't really matter if I get them a certain shape or not. You can make anything you want. But while those are drying, we're gonna just cut up some new ones, and we're gonna paint these too. And I can turn them over and print if I want to. It doesn't matter. But I want you to go ahead and cut up some more pieces of bubble wrap, okay? Some more little pieces of bubble wrap. And if you want to print them, you can. You don't have to. But that way you've got some little pieces to work with as well as the big pieces. So I'm making kind of what looks like a big mess, but what I'm really doing is I'm looking at all the different textures I have in front of me now. Whole bunch. Okay, so once you get all these different things, I want you to move them all aside, and we're gonna go right back to the first thing we had, which was our canvas. We're gonna bring it back into the picture here. Okay, so now we have a lot of things we can decorate our canvas with. I can cut out or rip strips. I'm going to show you how it looks when it's ripped, because I kind of like them ripped. They look kind of cool because this paper tends to leave a really nice like edge. See how cool that looks when it's ripped? And I can lay that down, and maybe I want to cut a side of it, but we're going to start gluing on all these different textures onto our abstract piece. So I'm going to start by using a ripped piece that I got from the very first piece that we did a print of. And see how I ripped it? It almost looks like mountains, doesn't it? It looks pretty cool. So I want you to start cutting up things. This one I think I'm just going to put down here maybe, and I'm going to use my glue. Some of my glue oozed out, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. And then I'm going to take like some of these pieces and glue some of these down too. And maybe I'll just kind of glue them right into some of these weird shaped areas, or maybe off the edge a little bit. And I like having the bubble side up. You can do whatever you want. You can go back and take this if you want, and you can go on the white pieces or the white areas that you left behind. That looks cool. You can cut up the smaller pieces even smaller and glue them where you want. Or you can even take your giant piece and make a huge shape. I'm going to just make kind of a weird, huge shape right here. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to lay this right on here and glue it right down onto my page. And it's going to look super cool and super abstract. So I would say take some of the pieces that you've already printed, okay? And if you want to rip them and tear them up, that's always a really good idea. You can tear off little pieces and make a little pile. I would say tearing is a really good way to do it. Oh, I like that though. You got like layers. That's cool. I'm going to tear off some more little pieces. And I'm going, the smaller pieces look really cool because then you can get like all these little dots going. And I'm going to just keep on sticking different little pieces and stuff on here. I'm going to stick a piece on top of a piece. And so what you're really going to do is when this dries, you have something really wonderful that you can run your fingers over and touch, because you're going to have this kind of neat areas that are softer to touch. You'll have the touch for the canvas. You'll have the touch on the all these little bubbles. So the more layers you can do on top of layers, the better. Now remember, when you get stuff where you want it to go, you can always go back to your paint. Because I'm thinking, you know, I've got a lot of green going on. I kind of want some blue in there. So I feel like I'm going to just go back and grab some more with my paintbrush. And if there's some areas I'm like, oh, I really kind of want some blue here, I think I'll put a little blue here. I can just paint it right on there. See how I did that? You guys, this looks really, really, really good. I'm impressed. So the great thing is then when you get it done, it has a hard back and stuff, right? So you can put it in a frame if you want to, and it'll look really, really good. And then remember when it dries, you're gonna have all these little, so you got like all this texture and stuff going on. So when this dries, you're gonna be able to like run your fingers over it so it can be kind of interactive for you. I highly encourage you to touch your artwork. That's always a good thing. Always a good thing. Yeah, so that looks good. I don't know, mine's starting to kind of look like a aerial view. And you can keep the bubble wrap if you have extra bubble wrap if you want to play with it, because like I said, bubble wrap is like, I'm a child because I love bubble wrap. It's fun. Just squish it up. And it sounds like popcorn, which makes me hungry. And I love it.